Scotland, with its sweeping hills, rugged coasts, and ancient stone structures, has always evoked a sense of mystery. Its atmosphere, often shrouded in mist, with winds that carry the weight of centuries, creates an environment that seems to whisper secrets from the past. From the stark peaks of the Highlands to the brooding stone castles that the countryside, Scotland's landscape has long been associated with tales of the unknown. But it's not just folklore that fuels this air of enigma. The country's history is rich with accounts of unexplained phenomena, many of which still remain unsolved to this day. In a world where technology and science are often thought to have unlocked most of nature's mysteries, Scotland stands as a reminder of how much is still unknown. There are no easy explanations for the strange lights that appear over the hills at dusk, or the eerie hums and sounds that echo through its vast, empty spaces. This sense of unexplainable mystery extends beyond mere superstition and folklore, penetrating into the realm of modern UFO sightings, alien encounters, and paranormal events that have been reported across the centuries. The question that naturally arises is this: what is it about this ancient land that attracts such unexplained phenomena? Is it the location, steeped in centuries of myths about otherworldly creatures like the Fae? Or is there something more? The relationship between Scotland's mystical past and its modern-day sightings of UFOs and aliens is not as far-fetched as it may seem. In fact, some of the earliest recorded tales of mysterious beings and unearthly visitors can be traced back to ancient Scottish legends, passed down through generations. Tales of the fairies, shapeshifters, and other creatures, often described as beings from the stars, were woven into the fabric of everyday life, influencing how the people of Scotland saw the world and their place in it. But it is not just in the past that these strange occurrences are rooted. Scotland remains one of the most active regions in Europe for UFO sightings, and its reports of close encounters have spanned decades. The cold, isolated villages, the remote areas of the Highlands, and the inky, black waters of the lochs seem to hold something intangible, something that, for many, can only be described as otherworldly. Whether it's a famous UFO sightings around Bonnybridge, the eerie light seen above the Glencoe Valley, or the mysterious and well-documented incident over the town of Rosslyn, Scotland is a hotbed for stories that stir the imagination and leave one questioning the very nature of reality. But why does this phenomenon seem to occur here of all places? Is it simply the result of a vivid cultural imagination, or is there something more to these stories? Could these sightings be tied to the land itself? Scotland, with its ancient stone circles and mysterious ruins, has long been a place of fascination for historians and archaeologists. It is a land rich with ancient energy, where sites like the Standing Stones of Stenness in Orkney have captivated people for thousands of years. These megaliths, some of the oldest in Europe, were believed by ancient peoples to be portals to other realms, perhaps even to the stars. And for those who have witnessed strange lights and objects in the sky above Scotland's hills, the connection between these ancient sites and modern UFO sightings is impossible to ignore. For centuries, Scotland has been a place of mystery, where the past and present collide in strange and inexplicable ways. And yet, despite the wealth of personal accounts, photographs, and video footage that exist, the true nature of these phenomena remains elusive. Skeptics dismiss the sightings as hoaxes or misidentifications of mundane objects. But for those who have witnessed these events, the experience is something far more profound. To see something that cannot be explained, to have an encounter with the unknown, is an experience that defies rationality and leaves an indelible mark on the mind. In a place like Scotland, where history and myth are intertwined, it's easy to see why people are so drawn to the stories of UFOs and alien visitors. The concept of the other has always been a part of Scottish culture, from the ancient tales of the Fae who lived beneath the earth or traveled between dimensions, to the modern sightings of strange lights and craft in the sky. Over time, the line between myth and reality has become increasingly blurred, and in many cases, the stories of ancient folklore seem to bleed into modern reports of UFO sightings. The phenomenon of UFOs and alien encounters in Scotland also reflects something more universal: the deep human desire to understand the unknown. In a world that can often feel overwhelming and uncertain, These strange events provide a way to confront the mysteries of existence. Whether they are true extraterrestrial visitations or the result of our collective imagination, these encounters tap into something primal within us, the need to ask questions and to search for answers. In this sense, Scotland, with its haunted castles and fog-laden hills, serves as the perfect backdrop for this search for the unknown. The mystery surrounding Scotland's UFO sightings and alien encounters are not just stories. They are a reflection of our own curiosity, our desire to believe that there is something beyond what we see with our eyes. As technology continues to evolve and we gain new insights into the vastness of space, the question of whether we are truly alone in the universe becomes ever more pressing. And Scotland, with its rich history of strange and unexplained events, serves as a place where these questions are asked, and perhaps, one day, may even be answered. But until then, the allure of Scotland's ancient alien mysteries will continue to captivate us. Whether it's the stories of fairies and otherworldly visitors from the past, or the modern-day accounts of UFO sightings and alien encounters, Scotland remains a land where the unknown beckons, and where the mysteries of the universe might just be waiting to be discovered. In the sections that follow, we'll explore some of the most fascinating and unexplained UFO sightings and alien encounters to have occurred in Scotland, events that continue to puzzle, intrigue, and inspire both believers and skeptics alike. These are stories that span centuries, weaving together history, folklore, eyewitness testimony, and modern investigation. As we journey through these accounts, we will uncover the complex web of mystery that surrounds Scotland's long-standing connection to the extraterrestrial. And perhaps as we drift into sleep tonight, we'll allow ourselves to wonder, could there be something more, something beyond our understanding, just waiting to be discovered in the misty hills and fog-covered lochs of Scotland? Scotland's history is steeped in mystery, a land of ancient legends, ancient stones, and mythical creatures that transcend time. Long before the modern UFO sightings that have captured the world's attention, the people of Scotland were already telling stories of beings from other worlds, creatures not of this earth, and encounters that seemed to defy the natural order. These early tales of the supernatural, woven deeply into Scotland's folklore, may hold clues that link ancient encounters to the more modern sightings of UFOs and alien phenomena. Some argue that these myths, often dismissed as fanciful or superstitious, may be the first glimpses into a much deeper and ongoing connection with extraterrestrial beings. The Scottish Highlands, with their mist-filled valleys and ancient stone circles, have long been considered a land of otherworldly power. Some of the earliest legends told of fairies, or the fair folk, beings believed to come from an unseen world. These beings were not the whimsical creatures of modern-day fairy tales, but rather enigmatic entities associated with the natural forces of the land. Descriptions of the fairies in ancient texts and oral histories suggest they were beings that could appear and disappear at will, much like the elusive lights and shapes reported in modern UFO sightings. The Fae were often described as possessing knowledge and abilities far beyond those of ordinary humans, which has led some theorists to draw a parallel between the fairies and modern descriptions of extraterrestrials. Ancient Celtic culture, which has deep roots in Scotland, was rich with stories of mystical visitors who descended from the stars or other realms. The Celts believed in the existence of other worlds, dimensions beyond our own, and beings who could travel between these realms. This notion of otherworldly visitors was not considered unusual. It was an integral part of the Celtic worldview. The otherworld was a place where gods, spirits, and magical creatures resided, a place that could be accessed through certain rituals, dreams, or even through the mist. Some scholars argue that these ancient beliefs may reflect early encounters with beings from outer space, though cloaked in the language of mythology and spirituality. The concept of an otherworld aligns closely with modern theories of extraterrestrial visitations, where beings from different dimensions or galaxies may be able to interact with humans in ways that defy our understanding of physics. One of the most fascinating aspects of Scottish folklore is the abundance of stories about encounters with beings that came from the sky. In the medieval period, stories were told of sky gods who descended to the earth, bringing knowledge, magic, and sometimes even power. These sky gods were often depicted as powerful beings who had advanced knowledge and abilities, much like modern descriptions of extraterrestrial visitors. The most famous of these sky beings in Scottish mythology is the figure of the Cailleach, a powerful goddess of winter and nature who was said to be able to manipulate the skies and weather. While she is generally depicted as a divine figure, her abilities and connection to the sky are reminiscent of the attributes often attributed to UFOs and alien beings in modern reports. In addition to these celestial visitors, Scotland is home to some of the oldest and most mysterious megalithic sites in the world, which have long been associated with extraterrestrial speculation. The standing stones of Stenness in Orkney, for example, are believed to have been erected over 5,000 years ago, during the Neolithic period. These massive stones, arranged in a circle, are thought to have been used for religious rituals, but their exact purpose remains a mystery. Some have suggested that these ancient sites were built with the help of knowledge or technology that may have been imparted by visitors from the stars. This theory is fueled by the precision with which the stones are aligned and the apparent knowledge of astronomy possessed by the people who constructed them. Similar stone circles and megalithic structures are scattered throughout Scotland, and many of them are located in areas known for paranormal activity, further fueling speculation that these ancient sites may have had a connection to extraterrestrial visitors. The alignment of these ancient structures with celestial bodies is of particular interest to modern researchers. For instance, some researchers argue that the alignment of certain stone circles in Scotland, such as the Callanish stones on the Isle of Lewis, reflects an advanced knowledge of the stars and the movement of the planets that would have been difficult to acquire with the tools available at the time. These alignments, they suggest, could have been inspired by knowledge passed down from advanced civilizations, or, in the most speculative theory, by extraterrestrial beings who visited the Earth long before modern humans could have understood the cosmos. The idea of extraterrestrial influence in ancient Scottish culture is further supported by reports of strange occurrences and sightings of lights in the sky that date back hundreds, even thousands of years. For example, historical records from the 16th century describe unexplained lights in the skies over Scotland that resembled flying ships or objects of a mechanical nature. These reports, written by eyewitnesses, describe objects that defied description, moving erratically across the sky, much like modern UFO sightings. At the time, these lights were often attributed to omens or supernatural occurrences, but in hindsight, they bear a striking resemblance to modern-day descriptions of UFOs. Furthermore, Scottish history is filled with accounts of mysterious beings, some of which resemble descriptions of extraterrestrials. One such figure is the Bean Nye, a female spirit said to haunt the rivers of the Highlands. Descriptions of the Bean Nye, often portrayed as a woman dressed in green or gray, tell of a ghostly figure who forewarns death. But in some versions of the story, she is described as an otherworldly being with strange, unearthly qualities. This figure, with her ghostly appearance and her powers of prediction, shares similarities with the Greys, the small, gray-skinned alien beings often depicted in modern UFO lore. Some theorists have even suggested that ancient tales of such beings may be rooted in actual encounters with extraterrestrial visitors, though cloaked in mythological language. As Scotland's history moved into the modern era, the stories of strange visitors from the sky continued to evolve. The 19th and early 20th centuries saw an increase in the number of reported sightings of lights in the sky, with many of these sightings occurring in the remote, isolated regions of the Highlands. These events were often attributed to military aircraft or misidentified astronomical phenomena, but some witnesses insisted that they were seeing something far more mysterious, something beyond the reach of human technology. The first official flying saucer sightings, reported in the 1940s and 1950s, brought a new wave of interest to Scotland's long history of unexplained aerial phenomena. The connection between these modern sightings and ancient accounts of sky beings seemed too strong to ignore. The question then arises, did these ancient legends and encounters represent the earliest form of alien contact? Were the fairies, the fae, and the sky gods simply an early interpretation of what we would now call extraterrestrials? While there is no definitive evidence to prove this, The similarities between ancient Scottish myths and modern UFO sightings are compelling. From the fae to the lights in the sky, from stone circles to mysterious beings, Scotland's ancient past seems to offer a rich tapestry of evidence, both historical and folkloric, that suggests the possibility of a long-standing connection to the unknown, one that continues to manifest today in the form of UFO sightings and alien encounters. As we explore the modern-day mysteries surrounding UFOs and alien phenomena in Scotland, it's important to remember that these sightings may be part of a much older narrative, a narrative that links our present-day experiences with encounters of those who lived long before us. The ancient origins of alien encounters in Scotland are not just a product of modern imagination or science fiction, but rather may be part of a deep historical and cultural story that has unfolded over millennia. Perhaps the true nature of these encounters is something far more complex than we can understand, a story that spans the ages, from ancient fairies to modern-day UFOs, and continues to captivate and mystify us today. In the sections that follow, we'll explore some of the most intriguing modern-day accounts of UFO sightings and alien encounters in Scotland. But it is essential to keep in mind the long, mysterious history that has shaped these events. Whether these encounters are the result of extraterrestrial visitations or simply the product of human imagination, they continue to fuel our fascination with the unknown and our desire to understand what lies beyond the stars. On a cold winter's night in 1990, a small, seemingly inconspicuous village near Edinburgh, Scotland, became the site of one of the most compelling and mysterious UFO sightings in recent history. The Rosslyn UFO incident, as it came to be known, was not only a defining moment in the history of UFO encounters in Scotland, but also an event that would shape the way the world viewed unexplained aerial phenomena. This incident would captivate both the public and investigators alike, sparking debates that continue to this day about the nature of the object witnessed, the psychological impact on the witnesses, and the implications for our understanding of extraterrestrial visitation. The night of the Rosslyn UFO incident was marked by a clear sky and stillness that seemed to amplify the sense of mystery surrounding what would unfold. The first reports of strange lights came from a local police officer who was on routine patrol in the area. According to the officer, he noticed a bright light in the sky that seemed to be moving erratically. Initially dismissing it as an aircraft, the officer soon realized that the object was behaving in a way that no conventional plane or helicopter would. It was hovering, darting back and forth, and then seemingly disappearing and reappearing in different positions. It wasn't long before other residents of Rosslyn, including local farmers and other police officers, also began reporting strange lights in the sky. One of the most striking aspects of these reports was the consistency in the descriptions provided by witnesses. People spoke of a large, bright object that seemed to change shape and size, flickering in the night sky as though it were shifting between different states. Some described the object as a triangular craft, while others said it appeared to be a disc-shaped craft with pulsating lights. The common thread was the undeniable sense of something unearthly, something beyond their normal experience of the night sky. As the evening progressed, the sightings intensified. According to multiple accounts, the UFO appeared to hover over the village for several hours. At one point, it was even reported that the object descended to a lower altitude, nearly touching the ground. This close encounter left the witnesses shaken, as they struggled to make sense of what they had just seen. Despite the various theories that were proposed, no one could explain the behavior of the object, nor could they identify it as any known military or civilian aircraft. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Rosslyn UFO sighting was the involvement of a local police officer. The officer, whose identity was later revealed as Constable Alan Godfrey, was one of the first to report the strange lights. Godfrey's account of the sighting was significant because he was trained to be a skeptic when it came to unusual phenomena. As a police officer, he had been taught to approach such reports with a rational mindset, and yet what he witnessed that night left him at a loss for words. In his report, Godfrey stated that the object seemed to exhibit intelligence, moving in ways that defied conventional understanding of physics. The object would dart from one point to another with impossible speed, before pausing for a moment and then darting off again. What made Godfrey's experience even more compelling was the personal impact it had on him. Following the encounter, he was left with a sense of unease and confusion, feelings that many of the other witnesses also reported experiencing. This was not a case of mere curiosity or confusion about the identity of the object. Rather, it was a profound emotional response, one that seemed to suggest that the object was not simply an aircraft, but something far more mysterious. Godfrey later reported that he was unable to fully explain what he had seen, and his account added a layer of credibility to the growing body of evidence surrounding the incident. In the wake of the sightings, local authorities took the report seriously and began investigating the strange events. A number of explanations were offered for the phenomenon, but none seemed to satisfy the growing number of witnesses who were convinced that they had witnessed something extraordinary. Some suggested that the object was a military aircraft, perhaps a secret test flight or a malfunctioning aircraft. But this theory was quickly dismissed due to the fact that no military or aviation authorities could confirm the presence of any such aircraft in the area at the time. Others suggested that the lights were a result of atmospheric phenomena, such as ball lightning or some form of weather-related phenomenon. But this was also ruled out, as the object displayed behavior that was inconsistent with these explanations. Despite these attempts to rationalize the event, there remained an undeniable air of mystery surrounding the Roslyn UFO sighting. In fact, many of the witnesses, including Constable Godfrey, were adamant that what they had seen could not be explained by any conventional means. This reluctance to accept a conventional explanation for the event has led some researchers to believe that the Roslyn UFO incident may have been a genuine encounter with extraterrestrial technology. Further complicating the matter was the existence of photographic evidence. Several photographs were taken by local residents during the sighting, some of which appeared to show the UFO in remarkable detail. One of the most compelling images was a photograph taken by a local farmer, who managed to capture the strange object as it hovered over the village. The photograph, while not conclusive proof of extraterrestrial visitation, remains a tantalizing piece of evidence that has fueled speculation about the true nature of the object. The image, which shows a large disc-shaped object with a series of lights along its edges, bears a striking resemblance to other UFO sightings that have occurred around the world. Despite the photographic evidence and the testimony of numerous witnesses, the Roslyn UFO incident was largely dismissed by mainstream media and skeptical scientists. Many of these individuals argued that the sightings could be explained by misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or even optical illusions. However, the persistence of the witnesses, combined with the emotional impact of the event, ensured that the incident would remain part of the UFO lore for years to come. One of the most significant aspects of the Roslyn UFO sighting was the effect it had on the local community. The village of Roslyn, with its small population and tranquil atmosphere, was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, and residents found themselves grappling with the implications of what they had witnessed. The event forced people to confront the possibility that the world they knew was not as ordinary as it seemed. For many, the Roslyn UFO incident became a defining moment, one that would shape their perceptions of the world and their place within it. The psychological impact of the event on the witnesses is worth noting. Many of those who reported seeing the object spoke of feelings of fear, awe, and confusion. The object's behavior, its apparent intelligence, and its otherworldly appearance left a lasting impression on those who had witnessed it. This psychological effect is something that has been noted in other UFO encounters as well, with witnesses often experiencing a sense of being overwhelmed by the encounter, unable to comprehend what they have seen or how to process it. In the years following the Roslyn UFO incident, the event continued to be a topic of conversation in the local community, and it has since become one of Scotland's most well-known UFO sightings. While skeptics continue to offer alternative explanations, the consistency of the eyewitness accounts, the emotional impact of the event, and the physical evidence collected that night all contribute to the mystery that surrounds the incident. To this day, the Roslyn UFO remains an enigma, an event that raises more questions than answers and leaves us to wonder whether the truth behind what happened that night is still out there, hidden in the shadows of the Scottish sky. As we explore further cases of UFO sightings and alien encounters in Scotland, the Rosslyn incident serves as a reminder of the profound impact that such experiences can have on both the witnesses and the broader community. It underscores the complexity of these encounters, how they can challenge our understanding of reality, push the boundaries of science, and stir our collective imagination in ways that few other phenomena can. The Rosslyn UFO incident remains one of the most compelling and mysterious events in Scotland's UFO history, and its legacy continues to intrigue both believers and skeptics alike. Nestled between the bustling cities of Edinburgh and Glasgow, the small town of Bonnybridge in central Scotland has become an unlikely focal point in the global UFO debate. What was once a quiet, unassuming village is now known worldwide as one of the most active sites for UFO sightings, earning it the dubious title of the UFO capital of Scotland. The Bonnybridge UFO phenomenon, which began in the early 1990s, has sparked widespread curiosity, raised eyebrows among skeptics, and ignited heated debates about the nature of these aerial phenomena. Unlike isolated incidents or one-off sightings, the Bonnybridge phenomenon is remarkable not only for its frequency, but also for the consistency and credibility of the reports from local residents, police officers, and even military personnel. The Bonnybridge UFO sightings can be traced back to 1992, when a local man named George McFarlane claimed to have witnessed a strange object in the sky. McFarlane, a resident of Bonnybridge, described the object as a large, disc-shaped craft with bright lights, hovering silently in the night sky. At first, McFarlane thought he might have been imagining things, but when he spoke to his neighbors, he found that he was not alone in his experience. More and more residents of Bonnybridge came forward with similar stories, describing lights in the sky that appeared to be moving erratically or performing impossible maneuvers. Over the following months, the number of reports steadily grew, and it became clear that something unusual was happening in this otherwise tranquil village. One of the most striking aspects of the Bonnybridge UFO sightings is the sheer number of credible witnesses who came forward to report their experiences. Unlike other UFO hotspots, where reports are often dismissed as hoaxes or misidentifications, the Bonnybridge sightings were taken seriously by many of those involved, including local police officers. In fact, several police officers in the area reported seeing the same strange lights and objects in the sky. Their testimonies were particularly significant because they offered an objective and authoritative perspective on the phenomenon. These officers, trained to assess and respond to emergencies, were not easily swayed by superstition or imagination. Their willingness to report the sightings added a layer of credibility to the growing body of evidence surrounding the Bonnybridge UFOs. Among the most compelling accounts was that of Constable John Keel, who, along with his partner, observed a UFO hovering over a nearby field one evening. The officers described the object as a large, circular craft with a series of pulsating lights along its circumference. The object, they said, appeared to be floating motionlessly in the sky before it suddenly shot off at an incredible speed, disappearing from view in an instant. This particular sighting was notable not only for its vivid description, but also for the fact that it was witnessed by two trained police officers. Their shared experience added a layer of legitimacy to the UFO reports and suggested that these sightings were not simply the result of overactive imaginations. As the sightings continued, the phenomenon began to draw the attention of UFO researchers, journalists, and even members of the military. The Scottish UFO Research Group SOFORG and other local investigative bodies started documenting the increasing number of sightings in Bonnybridge, and the phenomenon soon became the subject of news reports both in Scotland and beyond. The fact that so many sightings were happening in such a concentrated area led some researchers to speculate that Bonnybridge might be a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity. A number of theories were proposed to explain the phenomenon, ranging from the idea that the town was situated near a military testing ground to the possibility that it was a focal point for alien visitors. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Bonnybridge UFO phenomenon was the consistency of the reports. Witnesses from different parts of the town, some miles apart, described seeing the same type of craft, disc-shaped objects with bright lights, often moving in unpredictable patterns. Some described the lights as being white or orange, while others reported seeing flashes of red or blue. A few witnesses even claimed to have seen triangular-shaped craft, further complicating the puzzle. The consistency of the descriptions led some investigators to dismiss the idea that the sightings were merely the result of misidentifications or hoaxes. Instead, they suggested that there was something genuinely unusual occurring in the skies over Bonnybridge, something that could not be easily explained by conventional means. For many residents of Bonnybridge, the constant presence of UFOs became a source of both fascination and fear. Some witnesses spoke of feelings of awe and wonder as they watched the mysterious lights in the sky, while others described a sense of unease and trepidation. The idea that these objects were not of this world, whether alien or otherwise, forced the community to confront the possibility that the Earth might not be as alone in the universe as previously thought. As the sightings persisted, some residents began to feel as though they were living in the midst of a mystery that no one seemed able to solve, yet that everyone seemed to be experiencing. Despite the growing number of reports and the attention from researchers, the Bonnybridge UFO sightings were met with skepticism from some quarters. Many critics dismissed the phenomenon as a mass delusion or the result of hoaxes and misunderstandings. Some skeptics argued that the objects seen in the sky were simply misidentified aircraft, satellites, or atmospheric phenomena, such as reflections or cloud formations. The presence of so many lights in the sky, skeptics suggested, could be explained by the proximity of nearby airports and military installations. However, this theory did little to address the strange behavior exhibited by the UFOs, such as their erratic movements, sudden acceleration, and apparent ability to defy the laws of physics. Another criticism was that the sightings in Bonnybridge were simply a case of mass hysteria or collective delusion. This theory suggested that the sheer number of people reporting UFO sightings created a feedback loop, where individuals began to convince each other that they had seen something strange. However, this argument did not fully account for the fact that many of the witnesses were independent of each other and had no prior knowledge of the other sightings. Moreover, the fact that many of the sightings were corroborated by reliable witnesses, such as police officers and military personnel, made it difficult for skeptics to dismiss the phenomenon outright. Adding another layer of complexity to the Bonnybridge UFO mystery was the involvement of the military. In 1996, the Ministry of Defense (MOD) in the UK acknowledged that it had received reports of UFO sightings in the Bonnybridge area and had investigated some of the incidents. However, the MOD's involvement was shrouded in secrecy, and many of the details surrounding the investigations were not disclosed to the public. The lack of transparency fueled suspicions that the government was covering up something more significant. Some researchers and UFO enthusiasts speculated that the UFOs were not extraterrestrial in origin, but were instead advanced military aircraft being tested in the area. Despite the lack of definitive answers, the Bonnybridge UFO phenomenon has continued to captivate the imaginations of people around the world. The town of Bonnybridge remains a popular destination for UFO enthusiasts and researchers, many of whom continue to visit in hopes of witnessing a sighting or uncovering new information about the phenomenon. While no conclusive evidence has ever emerged to explain the events, the Bonnybridge sightings stand as a testament to the enduring mystery surrounding UFOs and the possibility of extraterrestrial life. Over the years, the Bonnybridge UFO phenomenon has evolved into a cultural touchstone. It has inspired documentaries, books, and a host of media coverage, each attempting to shed light on the mystery. Some researchers have argued that the Bonnybridge sightings represent a new chapter in the ongoing search for extraterrestrial life, one that is not limited to distant planets, but is happening right here, in our own skies. Others maintain that the Bonnybridge events are simply another case of misidentification and human error. Whatever the case may be, the mystery of Bonnybridge continues to intrigue and inspire, ensuring that this small Scottish town remains forever linked to one of the most enduring questions of our time. Are we truly alone in the universe? The relationship between UFO sightings and government agencies has long been a subject of intrigue, skepticism, and controversy. The topic of UFOs is often met with a mix of public fascination and official denial. In the case of Scotland, one of the most compelling aspects of the UFO phenomenon lies in the involvement, or lack thereof, of government bodies, such as the UK Ministry of Defence MOD. Since the early reports of UFO sightings in the mid-20th century, the MOD has been at the center of investigations, cover-ups, and information control, making their role in the UFO phenomenon particularly significant. The MOD's involvement in UFO cases in Scotland, particularly during high-profile incidents like those in Bonnybridge, Rosslyn, and others, has sparked numerous debates about transparency, military secrecy, and the true nature of these mysterious sightings. The UK government, and by extension the MOD, has long maintained an official stance of skepticism toward UFOs, frequently attributing sightings to misidentified aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, or even human error. Despite this official narrative, there is a wealth of declassified documents and eyewitness accounts that suggest otherwise. The most notable documents related to the UFO phenomenon in Scotland come from the MOD's UFO files, many of which were made available to the public in recent years. These files provide a glimpse into how the government has handled UFO reports, investigated sightings, and, in some cases, dismissed credible evidence. The release of these files has not only opened a window into the workings of military investigations, but has also shed light on the larger issue of government transparency when it comes to unexplained aerial phenomena. The MOD's UFO files date back as far as the 1950s, during which time UFO sightings in the UK, including Scotland, became more frequent and more widely reported. Throughout this period, the government's approach was primarily defensive, attempting to downplay or explain away the phenomena while maintaining that national security was not at risk. In many instances, these UFO sightings were treated with a dismissive attitude by government officials, who were reluctant to acknowledge the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. For instance, when reports of unusual flying objects in Scottish skies began to increase in the 1950s, particularly around military airfields such as RAF Lutchers in Fife, the MOD initially chalked them up to simple misidentifications of aircraft, balloons, or weather phenomena. One of the earliest and most notable encounters was the so-called Lutchers UFO incident in 1957. On this occasion, several RAF pilots stationed at the base reported seeing a series of strange, fast-moving lights in the sky. These lights, which seemed to maneuver in ways that defied conventional aircraft flight patterns, were tracked by radar and confirmed by ground observers. Despite the credible testimony of experienced military personnel, the MOD issued a statement attributing the incident to misidentified aircraft. This explanation was not satisfactory to many witnesses, who were convinced that they had seen something far more unusual. Over the following decades, similar incidents continued to be reported, yet the MOD consistently maintained its stance that the UFOs in question were either military aircraft, secret government projects, or natural phenomena. However, the release of previously classified UFO files in the 2000s revealed that the MOD had been investigating such sightings much more thoroughly than the public had been led to believe. The government had compiled detailed reports on UFO sightings from around the country, including Scotland. In many cases, the MOD had even sent military personnel to investigate UFO reports firsthand. These investigations often involved radar tracking, interviews with witnesses, and even physical examinations of the sites where UFOs had allegedly landed or hovered. Despite this extensive record-keeping and investigation, the MOD's official stance remained largely unchanged. UFOs were not a threat to national security, and the majority of sightings could be explained by conventional means. One of the most significant documents released by the MOD was a report on the Bonnybridge UFO sightings in the 1990s. During this period, Bonnybridge became one of the most prominent UFO hotspots in the UK, with hundreds of sightings being reported by local residents, police officers, and even members of the military. The MOD's response to these reports was, at best, perfunctory. In several instances, military personnel who had witnessed UFOs in the Bonnybridge area were told by the MOD that the incidents were the result of atmospheric conditions, or even military aircraft operating in the area. However, many of the witnesses were not convinced by these explanations, and some were particularly frustrated by the lack of transparency from the government. In interviews, local police officers stated that they had seen the UFOs with their own eyes and that their behavior did not match that of any known aircraft. Despite the government's reluctance to officially acknowledge the reality of UFOs, there were moments when military personnel became more candid about their experiences. For example, in 1992, a retired RAF pilot named Sir Peter Horsley publicly admitted that he had seen unidentified flying objects during his time in the service, and that the MOD had indeed investigated UFOs more seriously than it had let on. Horsley's comments sparked renewed interest in the government's involvement with UFOs, particularly in relation to Scotland, where many of the most well-documented sightings had occurred. Horsley, who had served as the Assistant Chief of the Air Staff at the RAF, revealed that he had been part of several high-level meetings on UFOs and that the MOD had conducted secret investigations into the sightings of unusual aerial objects. However, these investigations were always shrouded in secrecy, with the MOD's official line being that there was no definitive evidence to suggest extraterrestrial involvement. The government's reluctance to release full information on UFO sightings in Scotland has led to widespread speculation about the true nature of the phenomenon. Some researchers argue that the MOD's handling of UFO sightings is indicative of a broader government cover-up, one that seeks to suppress information that could have significant implications for national security and public perception. According to this theory, the MOD's consistent downplaying of UFO encounters is not necessarily due to skepticism, but rather a desire to control information that could lead to widespread panic or social unrest. The idea that the government might be hiding the truth about UFOs is not new. Many conspiracy theorists have long maintained that the authorities are aware of extraterrestrial life, but have chosen to keep this knowledge hidden from the public for reasons of national security. One of the most significant challenges in understanding the government's involvement in UFO cases in Scotland is the opacity surrounding military operations and the classified nature of many investigations. While some UFO sightings were documented and investigated by military personnel, many files remain sealed, and much of the government's findings are not made public. This lack of transparency has fueled the belief that the government may be withholding important information from the public. However, some experts argue that the MOD's reluctance to disclose certain details could be due to concerns over military operations and the potential for disinformation. In some cases, the government may have simply chosen to keep certain investigations confidential to avoid revealing sensitive military technologies or operations. Despite the lack of definitive answers, the MOD's UFO files remain an invaluable resource for researchers and UFO enthusiasts alike. The release of these documents has provided new insights into the government's handling of UFO sightings in Scotland, as well as the broader question of extraterrestrial life. While the government continues to maintain its official stance that UFOs are not a threat to national security, the MOD's own records suggest that the phenomenon is more complex than previously acknowledged. The question of whether UFO sightings are the result of extraterrestrial activity or simply misidentified natural phenomena remains open, and the role of the government in investigating these sightings is far from clear. As we continue to explore UFO sightings in Scotland and their connections to government and military involvement, it is clear that the relationship between these phenomena and official investigations is far more complicated than it may seem. The MOD's UFO files, while offering a glimpse into the government's handling of these mysterious sightings, leave many unanswered questions. What is certain, however, is that the government's involvement in UFO investigations, particularly in Scotland, continues to be a critical and intriguing aspect of the ongoing mystery surrounding extraterrestrial encounters. Whether the truth lies hidden in classified files or in the skies above, the search for answers remains ongoing, and the involvement of government agencies is sure to remain a key factor in the ongoing UFO discourse. When it comes to the phenomenon of UFO sightings and alien encounters in Scotland, mainstream explanations often fall short of providing a satisfying answer. While many official reports and government investigations attempt to explain these encounters through conventional lenses, Be it misidentified aircraft, weather phenomena, or military experiments, there remains a growing body of alternative theories that venture into the paranormal, metaphysical, and interdimensional realms. These theories, while often dismissed by mainstream scientists and skeptics, offer intriguing perspectives that challenge our understanding of reality and suggest that the UFO phenomenon could be something much more complex than simple extraterrestrial visitation. One of the most compelling alternative theories surrounding UFOs in Scotland is the idea that these phenomena may not be the result of visitors from other planets, but rather beings or entities from different dimensions. This theory, often referred to as the interdimensional hypothesis, posits that UFOs are not physical objects traveling from outer space, but rather manifestations of entities or phenomena from alternate dimensions or parallel universes. According to this theory, what we perceive as UFOs may actually be glimpses into another layer of reality, one that exists alongside our own, but is normally invisible to us. The theory suggests that these beings or their craft are able to temporarily pierce the veil between dimensions, allowing them to appear in our world for brief moments before vanishing again. One of the strongest proponents of this idea is renowned physicist Dr. Jacques Vallée, who has written extensively on the subject. Vallée argues that the UFO phenomenon should not be understood merely in terms of extraterrestrials from distant planets, but rather as an entirely different form of intelligence, one that may exist outside of the physical world as we understand it. He suggests that sightings of UFOs, as well as encounters with entities, may be the result of interactions between our dimension and another, one where the laws of physics, as we know them, do not apply. This concept ties into ancient accounts of sky gods or supernatural beings that have been a part of human mythology for centuries, including in Scotland, where legends of fairies and otherworldly visitors were common. In Scotland, the rich tapestry of folklore surrounding otherworldly beings, such as fairies, shape-shifting creatures, and mysterious sky beings, is often cited as evidence for the interdimensional theory. These creatures were frequently described as possessing abilities that seemed to defy the laws of nature, such as disappearing and reappearing at will or moving between worlds. According to some proponents of the interdimensional hypothesis, these myths may be based on actual encounters with beings from other dimensions, experiences that were later interpreted through the lens of the culture's existing folklore and religious beliefs. The idea that these fair folk or sky gods were visitors from another realm is a compelling one, as it offers a more coherent explanation for the strange behavior often associated with modern UFO sightings. Another theory that has gained traction in recent years is the time travel hypothesis. According to this theory, UFOs and their occupants may not be extraterrestrials at all, but rather humans from the future who have developed the technology to travel through time. In this scenario, UFO sightings are not the result of visits from distant civilizations, but are instead glimpses into humanity's own future, where time travel has become a reality. The idea of time travelers interacting with the past, particularly with primitive or less developed societies, is a concept that has been explored in science fiction for years, but it also offers an interesting framework for understanding the UFO phenomenon. In the context of Scotland, where many UFO sightings have occurred near ancient sites like stone circles and standing stones, the time travel theory gains a certain resonance. Some researchers speculate that the UFOs reported in these areas could be linked to the very history of these places, suggesting that the visitors might be observing or even interacting with the past. The theory raises intriguing questions about the nature of time and space, suggesting that the very fabric of reality might be more fluid than we currently understand. A key element of the time travel hypothesis is the idea that the technology required for such travel would allow for a manipulation of time and space, enabling the UFOs to appear and disappear at will. This concept ties in with many of the common characteristics of UFO sightings, such as their ability to defy conventional flight patterns, their sudden acceleration and deceleration, and their ability to vanish without a trace. While the theory remains speculative, it offers an alternative to the idea that UFOs must necessarily come from distant galaxies or planets. In addition to these interdimensional and time travel theories, there are also more mystical and spiritual interpretations of the UFO phenomenon. Many individuals within the New Age community believe that UFOs are manifestations of a higher consciousness or a collective spiritual awakening. According to this perspective, UFO sightings are not simply physical encounters with alien beings, but are symbolic representations of humanity's evolving consciousness and its connection to the universe. This idea is closely tied to the concept of ascension, a belief that humanity is on the cusp of a spiritual awakening that will allow us to transcend our physical limitations and become more attuned to the spiritual dimensions of existence. In Scotland, where a deep spiritual connection to the land has been part of the cultural fabric for centuries, this theory resonates with many people who see the UFO phenomenon as part of a larger cosmic plan. The ancient spiritual traditions of the Celts, who believed in the interconnectedness of all life and the presence of divine forces in nature, may offer clues to understanding this more spiritual interpretation of the UFO phenomenon. In this view, UFOs and their occupants are seen not as hostile invaders, but as benevolent beings offering guidance or wisdom to those who are open to receiving it. Some proponents of this theory suggest that the appearance of UFOs is part of a larger process of humanity's spiritual evolution, a sign that we are moving toward a more enlightened and unified existence. Alongside these more metaphysical explanations, some researchers have proposed that UFOs could be a product of secret military or government projects. According to this theory, the UFOs seen in Scotland and around the world are not extraterrestrial in origin, but are instead highly advanced, experimental craft being tested by government agencies or military organizations. This idea is not new. Many UFO sightings, particularly during the Cold War, were attributed to secret aircraft developed by the U.S. and Soviet Union. Some of the UFOs reported in Scotland, especially those seen near military installations, have been linked to the testing of high-tech aircraft, drones, or even experimental weapon systems. The close proximity of many UFO sightings to military bases, such as RAF Leuchars in Fife, has led some to speculate that the UFO phenomenon may be the result of covert military operations. This theory suggests that the UFOs witnessed by civilians could be a combination of both human technology and extraterrestrial influence, a concept that many have referred to as reverse engineering. According to this hypothesis, the technology behind UFOs could have been acquired through a combination of alien contact and human ingenuity, resulting in the creation of highly advanced craft that are being tested and refined in secret. While the government has often denied any involvement in such programs, the persistent nature of UFO sightings and the secrecy surrounding military testing only serve to fuel speculation about the true origins of these mysterious crafts. Another theory that has gained popularity in recent years is the idea that UFOs are connected to Earth's deep past, ancient civilizations, or even lost continents that may have had contact with extraterrestrial beings. This concept draws on the idea of ancient astronauts, a theory that suggests that advanced civilizations existed on Earth long before recorded history, and that these civilizations may have had contact with beings from other planets. In Scotland, where ancient stone circles, burial mounds, and mysterious structures like the Callanish stones on the Isle of Lewis have been discovered, this theory finds a fertile ground for exploration. Some theorists suggest that the stone circles and other megalithic structures found in Scotland could have been constructed with the help of extraterrestrial beings, or that these sites were once used as communication points for extraterrestrial visitors. In conclusion, the UFO phenomenon in Scotland, like elsewhere in the world, remains an enigma that continues to elude simple explanation. While many mainstream explanations focus on the possibility of extraterrestrial visitors from other planets, alternative theories offer a broader range of possibilities that challenge our understanding of reality. Whether we are witnessing encounters with interdimensional beings, time travelers, or manifestations of higher consciousness, or whether these sightings are the result of military experimentation or ancient contact, the UFO phenomenon points to something beyond our current comprehension. As long as the skies above Scotland remain a canvas for strange lights and mysterious craft, These alternative theories will continue to offer intriguing, if speculative, avenues for exploration. UFO sightings and alien encounters have not only shaped scientific discourse and government policies, but have also deeply influenced culture, art, and the collective psyche. In Scotland, a nation with a rich tapestry of folklore and a long history of superstition and myth, the UFO phenomenon has added a modern layer to its already complex relationship with the unknown. From the ancient legends of fairies and mystical beings to the more recent reports of strange lights in the sky, the idea of the other has always held a special place in Scottish cultural imagination. The appearance of UFOs has only intensified this connection, giving rise to new narratives, new beliefs, and in many ways, new ways of interpreting the world. The cultural impact of UFO sightings in Scotland, ranging from popular media portrayals to local traditions, offers a fascinating insight into how human societies grapple with the unknown. One of the most striking cultural effects of the UFO phenomenon is the way in which it has sparked a renewed interest in supernatural beliefs and otherworldly encounters. In Scotland, the history of supernatural encounters dates back centuries, with fairies, ghosts, and spirits being central to the nation's folklore. These beliefs were not just relegated to the realms of superstition, but were often treated as a part of everyday life. While many of these beliefs have faded over time, the arrival of modern UFO sightings has led to a resurgence of interest in the supernatural, as people begin to make connections between UFOs and the spiritual world. The common thread between UFO encounters and ancient legends of fairies and mystical beings is the notion of beings from another realm or dimension, capable of defying the laws of physics, moving between worlds, or existing beyond human understanding.